Development of Uganda. Now, following the approved Ugandan National Budget 2025-2026, which was slated to take approximately over 72 trillion Ugandan shillings, today we have decided to expound more on how the economy can be monetized through the commercial sectors. And now, following also our National Vision 2040, our key objectives is to ensure that the economy of Uganda transitions from a peasant economy to a modern industrial economy through full monetization. Now, joining me tonight, we have a guest, Mrs. Rachel Vanessa Nakawoya, who is an economist and also microfinance expert, who will be giving us insights on how Uganda can achieve this ambitious goal. A very good evening to you, madam.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Good evening to you.
We are very excited to have you tonight.
Thank you. Good evening to our viewers. As mentioned, Rachel Vanessa Nakawoya Muhwezi, an economist and a microfinance expert. I am glad to see you, Jackie, and to be invited by RSTV.
Yes, so Ms. Muhwezi, could you just give us a brief explanation of what we mean by full monetization of the economy?
Thank you so much, Jackie. What full monetization of the economy means, and from the National Budget Framework paper that was launched, full monetization is where government is focusing from moving from a largely informal sector or substance sector into an inclusive, sustainable, industrialized economy. Okay. That is what it means. To our viewers, it is where government is focusing to include everyone in the cash economy. Yes, so that is what full monetization of the economy that government is trying to look at. And also we have what we call a tenfold growth strategy. Okay. So government is also focusing at within 15 years from now, by 2040, that every Ugandan our growth should be tenfold, which is a double digit, and also looking at increasing the income levels by moving households, increasing the household incomes, full monetization of the economy, and increasing the employment levels for different Ugandans. And that is one of the themes for the National Development Plan for Uganda.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam. Now, just giving us a glimpse of exactly what do we mean by the commercial sector, because it's wide, but we need to know in detail, what does it entail?
The commercial sectors that they're focusing on, we are looking at commercializing agriculture, that is commercial agriculture. We are looking at industrialization. We are looking at oil and gas. We are looking at tourism. We are looking at financial services. We are looking at mineral sector. We are looking at trade sector. So we are looking at different sectors that play different roles within this economy. So the economy is anchored at within different sectors. Okay. And all these different sectors contribute to have a full monetization of the economy.
Okay, now which key aspects do we have for full monetization of the economy?
One of the key aspects that I believe that government is focusing on is sustainable industrialization. We are looking at fostering inclusive growth to create jobs. For example, government has really supported the manufacturing sector, okay, supporting the oil and gas. You all hear from what is happening, how much money that government is investing to see that we are able to harvest our oil that we have been waiting for. Okay. There is more in creating jobs. And also when you look at agriculture, having commercial agriculture, instead of my jaja in the village planting their coffee, and that coffee is maybe sold before it is ripe. Some people, you look at the coffee tree, instead of harvesting, drying it, then they take it for value addition. My Jaja sells it when it is still on the coffee tree.
Okay.
So we are looking at commercializing agriculture. Instead of doing like that, how do we add value to this coffee? We have seen promoting export of coffee, because worldwide it was mentioned that Ugandan coffee contributes around 1% in Europe market. But I believe that if our government is focusing on how do we commercialize our agriculture, and we shall be able to see more volumes of coffee being exported abroad. Yes.
Okay.
So we are looking at sustainable industrialization, we are looking at commercial agriculture, we are looking at market access. Yes, government has promoted our locally grown crops on the international market. So, and that is also a focus that government is looking at in the NDP4. How do we increase market access for the locally produced or grown crops on the international market? So those are some of the key strategies for the full monetization of the economy. Also expanding the service sector, because when you expand the service sector, for example, the banking sector or the microfinance sector that I fall in, it employs so many Ugandans within that sector. Those that create these jobs and those that are working there, that is creating so many jobs. Also, when you look at digitization, digital transformation, where government is for leveraging on technology advancements, I believe every public institution has embraced digital transformation. Gone are the days where every process was manual. Now when you move at every government entity, you'll find leveraging on digital advancement. And also when we come back to the private sector, when you leverage your business on digital transformation, you'll increase efficiency, you'll increase productivity, you'll increase revenue generation. You'll also look at how government was able to come up with infrastructure. Those days you'll find very big shops, big shop owners. I've moved in downtown, you find a very big shop and you want to buy something and you want to use your ATM, you want to use your card, but they don't allow the card because they're avoiding to pay taxes. You move in a shop and they are not using payway, so that is what government wants to focus on. If we do digital transformation, you a shop owner downtown there, it is also helping you to track your sales, and it is also helping government to collect revenue by leveraging on different technologies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now you've mentioned various strategies and aspects that the government has put on board to ensure that there is full monetization, but what measures has government brought forward to support these strategies to come to the intended outcome?
What measures that government is putting in place? I believe government is trying to do debt management. It is one of the measures that will help in full monetization of the economy. Yeah, under Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, I know they'll be able to control or manage that debt for us to see what we want to see in 2040 or what we want to see at the end of this financial year, which is starting in July with a 72 trillion budget. And also coming up with favorable policies and regulatory environment that can promote businesses to thrive. Yes, government has set up different levels where the private sector is able to speak, is able to advocate for different policies, different regulatory environment to enable different businesses to thrive within the economy. So one of the strategies or one of the support measures that government is focusing on is debt management, is coming up with conducive policy measures or policy and regulatory environment that can enable different businesses within the private sector on those infrastructure developments, also improving our road networks for the different farmers that are really bringing these goods to the different markets. And also another support measure would be the domestic revenue mobilization. Because if you have a budget of 72 trillion, it means the targets for revenue mobilization or collection for URA upped up. It is increased because the budget is also, that projection is also a bit higher. So I believe URA will also be able to close different gaps in the revenue collection. And also as Ugandans, I think we have also to embrace this, the revenue collection, maybe also focusing on the real estate sector, because if real estate is one of the sectors, I think, which is not currently more regulated. There is more of when someone invests, their earnings are higher than what is expected. So I believe government is coming up with different strategies to mobilize revenue such that the funding of the full monetization of the economy is also achieved. So different measures that government can come up, also improving or increasing the efficiency of our public sector.
Okay.
And I believe the public sector has done it well. I know some people might have different opinions.
When we say efficiency, what exactly? Because efficiency is wide.
Yeah, efficiency is wide. If I am a businessman and I walk into, I am an investor, I have come to Uganda, I move into a public entity. We have entities that can issue a license within 3 hours, and you start your business in Uganda.
Yeah.
Ugandan economy is where we welcome all investors. As long as you have money to invest here, you're creating jobs for Ugandans, you're welcome to the market, you're welcome to the economy. So that how public sectors improved this efficiency is by easing the paperwork for the investors to be able to invest quickly within our economy. So that is the efficiency we are talking about. And most public sectors have embraced digital transformation. So whatever you want to do, by the time you fly into Uganda, you know the requirements of setting up that business, and you know what you're required to do. So by the time you come into the Ugandan economy, you know where to find everything. You can get a license so easily. When you click on different websites of different public entities, you'll find the information that you want for you to be able to set up a business within that sector. Yeah, so that is the efficiency I'm talking about. Okay,
now before we move away from the public, as we divert away from the public sector, one of the key priority sectors for the government to achieve a full monetization of the economy, the government is looking paramountly at the private sector. Now, during the budget launch, chairperson, the chairman, per side, that is Audrey Krabogo, mentioned one of the major challenges, that is the cost of borrowing to do business and also the limited access to credit that these private sector entrepreneurs and innovators are facing. So how is the government in this new financial year really intentional about addressing that challenge?
Thank you so much. Government, yes, the cost of borrowing is high, and access to credit is also not easy, or the cost of capital is also expensive. How is government planning to do this? What government does is to set up a favorable environment, attracting more investors into the economy. If we have more money supply into the economy, we shall see the cost of borrowing reducing or the cost of capital reducing. And also, when you see that the shilling is controlled against the dollar, it means that we have reduced money supply in the economy. And we have reduced, if you have reduced money supply in the economy, it means the cost of borrowing has to go high. So it is a global challenge. I should say it is a global challenge. You know, you all well know that because of the effects of COVID-19 all different economies are trying to recover. And when you see the new administration in USA and the measures that it came up with, then you know what it is coming up with. If they are cutting aids in different African countries and you do not expect our economy to be the same, yes, because if they are cutting aid, it means they are reducing the money supply in our economy. So we try to look for money from different sources as government, maybe domestic borrowing. So it also impacts the cost of capital for the private sector. But government has come up with the parish development model where they are supporting households who are below the poverty line. So different households are able to access 1 million shilling, free, 1 million shilling, grace period of 2 years. Because I see so many businesses thriving at 50,000 in Kampala here, but if every household which is below the poverty line is given that 1 million shilling, that is including everyone in the cash economy. But what also we are looking at is if we can attract more investors from different, globally coming to the Ugandan economy, we shall see the cost of borrowing going down. We shall see the cost of capital going down. I know we have that kind of challenge that, yes, the access to credit is not easy. Mostly the innovators with only an idea. You have an idea and you want to be funded from the domestic market here, you may not find any funder. You must do something, they find you on the way, then you can access credit. That one can be done internationally where you go for funding, you pitch and you get an investor who is interested in your innovation and they are able to work with you on that journey. But if you're looking for
you take years before someone sees that dream.
Yeah, if you're pitching, I have in my path of work, I have met different innovators who move and they only have an idea and they want to access funding from their bank. I don't know which bank has funding set aside that it should be for innovation ideas. But government has set up different funds, the Parish Development Model Fund. We have agricultural credit facility in Bank of Uganda, and it is basically accessed by agricultural producers through the different financial institutions. Government came up with a MYOGA program still to support different enterprises within the economy, and that is all private sector. It is not government business, but government is just injecting in money. Government also came up with a GROW program. It is supporting women-led businesses. So all that is funding that is through from government to empowering the private sector that runs basically the economy. Yeah.
Okay. So now, what are some of the key challenges that are being faced by the private sector enterprises or the commercial sectors at large? Because let me not just look at the private sector, but the commercial sector enterprises, the commercial enterprises, what key challenges are they facing in the economy of Uganda?
Yeah, thank you so much. One of the key challenges that is facing different commercial sectors, and I would say it all runs around funding. Yeah, the limited access to funding. It is a very big challenge that we have, but of course those are measures that we have in place by sourcing for different fundings in different sectors, how they thrive, and also attracting different investors in different sectors. And also maybe we can also talk about the market access, because it also depends. One of the key aspects that government is focusing on is to improve our market access for the domestically produced goods on the international market. So you would find a sector, maybe agriculture, commercial agriculture, if they want a certain type of seedling and for you to use a different one, it will not find market. Yeah. Okay. So also extending awareness to our different to the different communities on how and what to produce for the market and how to access the market. We have seen companies that maybe I may not mention because I look like I'm promoting them. So you find a company, it lends to this institution, it lends to the farmers. If it wants to lend to the farmer, it will pay for the inputs. It pays for the inputs, the farmer uses the inputs after producing. This same company provides market access for the goods which are produced by the farmer. So the farmer, it is a complete value chain. And this same company now exports on the international market out of Uganda. So yes, we are seeing a challenge of market access, but as long as we are able to produce quality products, we shall be able to solve the problems within our economy. Yeah. Okay.
Now, when we look at full monetization of the economy, of course, we mean making it a cash economy where I can have access to cash, make my transactions in cash. But how are we going to reduce the movement of cash and go to digital transactions? For example, in Uganda, the percentage of Ugandans who are who know information about the digital economy is really minimal. But how is the government intentional about this challenge that we have in the economy? Because even those that have small businesses are not willing to transform from the rudimentary kind of transactions that they were doing over the years.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jackie. I basically also I acknowledge that when you travel out of Uganda, one time I traveled to India and I could not make a cash transaction. You must have an app and you buy everything from the app and you pay using the app.
Wow.
It was so interesting.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, when are we reaching there? That is an example.
That's India.
Yes, that's India.
That's it.
And India, I think, is one of the nations with the largest population in the world.
Yeah.
So when I gave an example, I moved in a downtown, a very big shop. Actually, it does wholesale. But I wanted to pay using my card. And the attendant told me, we don't allow cards here. Then I said, did you have Payway? We don't use Payway. So how do we move from cash to a cashless economy? And that comes back to all of us, the business owners. I think government has tried. If we have innovators that is actually the private sector, promoting that in the private sector. We have payment systems through the National Payment Systems Act. We have different payment service providers that are licensed there. They are providing solutions using payways, different credit cards. But teaching the mindset of the business owner that accepting a card from a customer does not cause any harm, doesn't reduce your sales. It helps you to also track what that attendant will pick from your stock. If you're promoting a card, which can also promote a cashless economy. So it all starts from the business owners. If they can be able to accept using, because government has already supported the private sector and the solutions are there, but it is us business owners who are required to accept the solutions that are provided. So if they are able to accept cards for different payments that are made by customers, then we can move from a cash to a cashless economy. You know, a cashless economy is you can be able to track different transactions that are conducted within the economy, and you can know the volumes of different transactions within the economy. So for government has done its part. It has supported the private sector through promoting different solutions that are within the sector that can also help into wiping out moving with that cash. You no longer need to move with cash. The bank is near you. I can just go to an agent and I bank any amount of money that you want to bank.
The bank
you
has
get.
done a good job.
The bank has, and that is all government, because it is government supporting the private sector to come up with innovative solutions. If I need to withdraw money from my account to mobile money, I can. You can turn your money into cash, and you don't even have to turn your money into cash. Now when I go to a petrol station, I'm able to pay using a merchant code to pay for fuel. If I move into a supermarket, I can use my card. You get. There's a solution which I even saw. When you have a boarding child at school, there are companies which have come up with credit cards. Instead of giving pocket money to my daughter, I only need to put pocket money on this card provided by this company. It has a limit to use in a day. Because you can give your child 100,000 and they spend it, they blow it in 1 week and they call again, Mommy, I don't have pocket money. Government has come, has supported the private sector to come up with innovative solutions. There are those companies which are providing cards at school, and your child just goes with a card. The card can take to the canteen to pick whatever they want to pick. It has a limit in a day, they cannot go beyond that. That is promoting a cashless economy. You get, you deduct, they go to the canteen, maybe there's a payway machine, they put on it, the canteen person is also paid using an e-system. So you see, doing that e-commerce business, and also it is helping government moving away from a cash economy to a cashless economy, and also it is helping the market to come up with innovative ideas, to have an inclusive growth, to have sustainable growth into the economy. Yeah. Okay.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Muhwez. And now that is about what we have for you on the Financial Eye as we expound on these strategies that drive us through economic growth and development of Uganda. Do not go away. We are going for a commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
The Financial Eye.
Welcome back on the Financial Eye. I'm Jackie Lingla, to dive you through the economy of Uganda. Now tonight with me, with Miss Rachel Vanessa Mohez, who is an economist and also a microfinance expert, and we are just expounding discussing about how the economy of Uganda can be fully monetized through the commercial sector, and we are of course diving through various sectors. We have the industrial, the mineral, oil and gas, agriculture sector, tourism, ICT, financial services. All these of course build onto the intended outcome of us moving away or transitioning from a peasant economy to a modern and industrial economy through full monetization. And right now we're going to the next aspect. What are the expected outcomes of the full monetization of the economy of Uganda?
Thank you so much, Jackie, and welcome back our viewers. What would be the expected, some of the hanging fruits after we have full monetization of the economy? After, at the end of NDP4, or gradually looking at the achievements at the end of this financial year that will begin 1st July. Before you go
in details, could you just explain to the people who are watching us by what you mean by NDP4?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Jackie. We have NDP4 is National Development Plan 4. So when government is coming up with different strategies, we have a plan. And within that plan, it has different programs. And within those programs, we have now the different sectors that are contributing to these programs, where we shall see the full monetization of the economy. Actually, one of the National Development Plan 4 goals, it is aiming at higher household incomes, full monetization of the economy, and employment for sustainable economic transformation. So what do we want to see when we have the full monetization of the economy? We are expecting the incomes of Ugandans to increase. Okay. So we expect your incomes, or all of us Ugandans, that our incomes will be able to increase, the higher household incomes. If we are transforming from largely informal or from largely substance, and we want commercial or industrialized inclusive economy, we anticipate to have a result of increased incomes for all Ugandans. And also, we shall be able to see economic growth. Okay. And there is a projection of 8% per annum, where we are aiming to have a double digit. That is why we are also aiming to have a 10-fold growth, okay, by within 15 years from now, by 2040.
But tenfold meaning?
The tenfold is the double-digit growth of our economy. Okay. So by reaching that 2040... So we are
doubling what we had in the previous year.
Yes, okay. Because currently it is a single digit at an average rate of 8% per annum, our economic growth growing. So by having the full monetization of the economy, we shall have a double digit. Okay. And that is what we project to have. Also, we are looking at more job creation, because when you're moving largely from subsistence and you're coming to industrialization of your economy, having more industries, leveraging on technology, commercializing agriculture, improving value addition to the service sector, we are looking at more job creation. Yeah, we are looking at more job creation and wealth. So we are also looking at increased foreign direct investment. We shall be able to attract more investors within our economy. So at the full monetization of the economy, we shall have more direct investment into our economy. What full monetization means is looking at an economy that is growing at a rate which is not worrying. Yes, where you're seeing that unemployment is tackled, because if you have more job creation, you're reducing unemployment. Where you're seeing that you're reducing your poverty levels as a nation, and also you're improving the livings of standards for different Ugandans. So when we have improved standards of living, we shall see the full monetization of the economy. Yeah.
Okay. And now, what are some of the most promising markets for our goods and services that we're producing?
The most promising market, we shall start with our domestic market. We consume. But what we have not consumed, we have EAC. Yeah, we have the regional markets within East Africa, Kenya, Uganda. When you move to the market now, I was surprised. Uganda, we have a lot of land. You can't believe our carrots that we use at home, our onions, tomatoes are coming from Kenya and Tanzania. So we have dropped our agriculture. That is what government wants now. Instead of that subsistence farming, we want to commercialize agriculture. With a lot of land that we have, we should be able to produce and export. Yes, we are exporting maybe milk, we are exporting maize, but we should also be able to grow carrot for our domestic market. We should be able to grow onions, but in the market, you go, even Irish potatoes are coming now from Tanzania. They are coming from our region markets. But when you're moving in a car, you will find so much plain land underutilized. That is why government is now educating the public, investing into digital literacy and also financial education, creating mindset change. We should go back and embrace agriculture. There is money in agriculture. Because I see, gone are the days where someone would just, for example, most of our parents, they grew up on the agriculture basis farming. Their parents would plant, get school fees from there. Now here, our relatives, they only sell off the land to come back here in Kampala to maybe adopt to around the different hustles within town. But if you embrace, imagine if you're able to produce acres of land for carrots and you're exporting to the regional market or to African market. So we have, yes, the regional market, we have African market, we have European market. Now we have a direct flight from Uganda to London. So you can be able to access even the European market easily. When you move to the US, there is what they call African market. They have matoke, they have whatever food we have here at home, you'll find it in that African market. But if Uganda, we can produce and be able to access such kinds of markets, because we have market. We have Ugandans who live in abroad, and they miss matoke. When you move in some of those countries, you only eat bread and some simple vegetables. That is their food.
Okay.
You can even, oh my God, you don't understand how they are able to survive in that kind of environment. When you travel, you come back and appreciate Uganda is a beautiful country. We have a very beautiful country. One of the countries with the best weather in the world. One of the countries with good food, plenty of food, plenty of fruits. So we have domestic market, we have the regional market, we have European market, where we can export our products from Uganda. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for expounding on that. And now, could you just give us some of the key trade agreements or partnerships that the government of Uganda has that have helped the private sector or enterprises to tap into these new markets?
Uganda joined African countries and they signed the African Continental Free Trade Area, where you can export. Ugandans are eligible to export goods across Africa. So we have that kind of market. We have the East African Community Market.
Okay.
We have COMESA market. We have the European Union market and the partnership that was signed, the Economic Partnership Agreement. So we have different markets. Our government has invested into collaborations and partnerships to see that if I produce a product today, I can easily access an international market. But what takes us down is the quality of the product. Because today, if I am producing a product, I'm not alone in Uganda. Also, a Kenyan is also producing a product. And we are all going to meet on the same international market. So what we need to do is, how do we improve the quality of our products such that they can fetch higher prices on the international market? Yeah.
Okay, now as we move this journey of a full monetized economy, how can we best position ourselves regionally and also globally concerning the economic trends that are going on?
How can we best suit
apart from, of course, apart from you've just mentioned on that earlier point that we need to improve our product, but other than quality, production of our goods and services and value addition, what other aspects can we do as a country, as a manufacturers, as people in business, to best position ourselves in concerning the regional and also global trends that are going on in the country and also worldwide? How can Uganda best position themselves?
Thank you so much, Jackie. What Uganda can do to best position itself is by diversifying on the export basis. Okay. Yeah, instead of focusing only one cash crop coffee, we can also look at another product that we can promote. So when maybe Brazil produces more and it is more on the market, instead of your coffee reducing prices, you have another product that is competing and maybe it is less produced from other countries. So that is why you see we have, when you look at those expos that are done promoting the Ugandan products, you find milk, you find coffee, you find honey. So we diversify into our export bases. Also focusing on the structural transformation, for example, increasing or focusing on agricultural productivity. How much do we get from agro-processing? So we need to look at that. We need to develop the manufacturing sector. How much can we manufacture products that can go on the international market? Or even here, our local market, someone will choose a product which is for another country instead of buy Uganda, build Uganda. So improving the manufacturing productivity, leveraging on natural resources. So Uganda, as I've said, Uganda is a very beautiful country. We can look at our natural resources. When you look at the parks we have, the oil and gas, we can attract more tourists in the country. The oil and gas is in process, which we believe that can help us catch up with the global trends. Also enhancing our demographic divide. Uganda is a country with one of the youngest populations in the world. So if we invest in education and skills of our young population, we shall be able to catch up with the global trends, because when you invest in the education and skills, you're increasing the productivity of the economy. Instead of so many youth and they are not doing anything, what government has done, that's why they're investing money in enterprises, access to funding by the youth, to see that the youth are able to access capital to start something. We have vocational centers, improving their skills, having hands-on skills that you're able to set up to do something. So this young population is very productive, and in the global trends, you find countries, they are lacking labor. Uganda is exporting labor to Asian countries, the Arab continent, Arab continent, because they are short of labor. But because of our young population, the population is growing very fast, so that is a plus for a nation, a plus for a country. So this productive, if the youth are productive, we shall increase the productivity of our economy, and we shall see social transformation of socio-economic transformation of our country.
Now, concerning the small and medium enterprises in Uganda, what opportunities are available for them to contribute to the economic development and also monetization of the economy?
Their contribution, what they can do, of course, small and medium enterprises.
The opportunities they have. For
them, the opportunities they have is to tap into the funding that has been set up by government. For example, under GROW project, the women-led enterprises can access funding. And also for them to contribute to the formalization of the economy. They are creating jobs for Ugandans. Yes, you'll find it is employing 5 to 10 or above 10 workers within that enterprise. So that is a contribution to the full monetization of the economy. They are remitting taxes. Yes, they are remitting taxes. And for them also, they are able to access maybe funding through the government set up projects. So that is a contribution of the small and medium enterprises. They can contribute to the full monetization of the economy by creating more jobs, remitting taxes, and also tapping into the setup projects by government to access funding to increase their capital.
Could you just highlight some of the projects that we have slated for the financial year 2025-2026 that we have as opportunities for the private sector or the small and medium enterprises that they can chip in? And because they are some of them are actually watching us, so they're wondering, what is the government planning for us? So what are some of the projects the government has put forward for them to tap into so that they can also be inclusively, you know, put in this financial journey?
When you look at the different programs, because as I mentioned, as we are implementing the budget, we implemented from the National Development Plan 4 that was launched, and it is beginning this financial year 25-26. So there are different programs that support different sectors. And if I talk from the financial sector perspective, we have the Polish development model. Government is pushing 1 trillion every financial year into the economy. And all that is to be tapped in by the small and medium enterprises. If an household can access 1 million shilling, they can be able to support or increase into their business that they have set up. We have the GROW project. That GROW project is for women-led enterprises. So
it's
we
called
have
the GROW project.
Yeah, it is a GROW project. Yeah, it is under implementation.
It's targeting women, no age bracket?
Women, yes.
No age bracket? No
age bracket.
Okay.
And a very low interest rate. Yeah, around 8 to 12% per annum. So those are some of the funding that government has set up. There is a recovery fund. It is still under Bank of Uganda through the financial institutions. Still, it is for the different enterprises that are out there and they were affected by COVID. So there are different fundings that government... So it's still
running up to now?
Yes. So there are different fundings that government has set up for different enterprises to support the socio-economic transformation of the country.
Are there platforms that are going to create awareness for people to know that this money is actually there and they can tap into them?
Yeah, there are platforms. When you look at PDM is a Polish development model, and within the Polish development model there is a pillar which focuses on mindset change to create awareness. Create awareness for all Ugandans. Even now I've mentioned about them. I'm creating awareness.
Okay.
Yes, what I know someone who has been viewing and they didn't know. They are also getting to know what is happening in the country. And also to be able to understand and embrace government programs.
Okay.
Yeah, we should be able to embrace government programs. That is how we can benefit from the different setup of different projects. Yeah.
Okay, of course, we are having the National Development Plan 4. What is that recurring problem that you have seen since, I don't know if you were in the genesis, but I know you have read the write-up from the National Development Plan 1, you moved to 2, you moved to 3. What is that major key challenge that you have seen recurring from the time you've been transitioning this plan? From all the 5 years, because it's 5 years, 5 years, 5 years. But what is that one key major challenge that you've seen that the government should put an emphasis on addressing?
I think one of the main key challenges, it is planning, implementing it fully would be funding.
Okay.
Yeah, funding becomes a challenge because if government targets to collect a certain level of revenue, and also maybe government is anticipating to get a budget support from the international organizations, and it doesn't come the way it was planned. We all know what has been happening on the global scene, how getting funding for different countries, all of developed countries, is very challenging. So I think what would be one of the biggest challenges would be is attaining the funding to fully implement the plan. So it is one of the biggest challenges, but that one is, there is no, I shouldn't say, there is no country that has it all. Or has enough resources, because even when you go to the countries we call developed, they have unemployment and they have it all, but there's still unemployment. So as a country that is growing or developing, we cannot say that we have full resources to fully implement the plan. So one of the challenges is having full funding to fully implement the plan. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Mrs. Mohezi, for allowing us to host you tonight and explaining more insights, giving us insights of how Uganda can achieve this ambitious goal of having a fully monetize the economy, and also for us to be able to transition from being a peasant economy to a modern and industrial economy. I am Jackie Lingla, as always. Just in a few words, could you just give your closing remarks to the viewers?
Thank you so much, Jackie, for hosting me, and Rest TV. Thank you so much for inviting me to attend this show. I am glad, as an economist, as a microfinance expert, that I'm able to contribute to what government is planning to do and what we have done before, and also from my career path, what I have seen and what we are seeing as a bright future as a country ahead. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
That is it for now. I am Jackie Lingla. Till next time here on Rest TV on the Financial Eye every Monday at 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Stay tuned on Rest TV. Good evening.
The Financial Eye. Making finance clear. No complicated terms. Just the economy explained. The Financial Eye. See the economy.
You're watching Rest TV, Wumula.
bulijjo amagezi gabeera mu masaŋŋanza ngaleekaana naye nga batono abagawulira ate oluusi geekukuma buziba ddala ng'abo bokka bafaayo okumanya be bayinza okugalaba naye abaffe gw'ofuddeyo okumanya nandiki ng'olina ekibuzo kye weebuuza ku ebyo ebirambika enzikirizayo kati nno tambula n'okumanya era ofuuke omumanyi ng'olaba puroguramu ndi mugezi wano wokka Grace TV buli lwa Monday ssaawa 5 ez'ekiro nga bamanyi Innocent Ntabaazi, Francis Ziwa, Tone Mubiru awamu ne Kaya Tendo baddamu ebibuuzo ebikwata ku nzikirizayo n'ennambika y'eddiini butereevu na buli lwakutaano ssaawa 9 ez'emisana nga bakunnyonnyola olugero ebyafaayo n'emisingi gy'enzikiriza awamu n'ekkanisa wattu togisubwa anti ndi mugezi nga mubuulire.
You're watching Rest TV, Wumula.
Never Give Up is brought to you by the generous contributions of our viewers, friends, and partners of Kasanga Miracle Center.
This program, Never Give Up Until the Battle is Over, is to help you and me reach our destinies, no matter what the devil does, in Jesus' name. Mr.